Guys, hello, how's it going? Hope you're having a very great Monday morning between this ongoing pandemic and all that stuff. Hope you all stay safe and staying indoors. Hi, my name is Thisal Samarasinghe, and I've been assigned to talk with y'all about photo manipulation with Photoshop and how to use it, what kind of a basic idea you need in order to work with them. So basically those. So this session is organized by community side of Royal College, my school. I'm a past student, I guess. Yeah. Just to have an idea about like a small background thingy about me, who am I, what do I do, why I'm gonna talk about with y'all in this session about designing. So my name is Thisal Samarasinghe, and I was with Community Side of Royal College a few years back. I was a member. So right now I've been working with a couple of agencies in Colombo, digital marketing agencies, and I'm currently employed in advertising agency. And also I've been making art, like Photoshop art, in like the past 3 years on Instagram. Y'all can check it out. I'll drop the link below. And basically that's it. I'm working as a designer and I make art when I have free time. So, and thank you community society for giving me the opportunity to give share my knowledge with you all. So let's go ahead and begin, right? So what we're going to talk about, I'll be talking about what is photo manipulation, bit of a backstory, and what can you do with it, and bit of a techniques, and about how could you improve if you already in this field that doing photo manipulation, like art, making art, how can you improve it, or if you plan to get into this like like a new, completely new as a beginner, and what kind of things that you need to keep in your mind. And I'll be giving you like a tutorial about I'll be doing a live tutorial about photo manipulation, like a small basic manipulation, that so y'all can get an understanding about how the techniques that I'm telling you, how it works in kind of real life, I guess. Yeah. And finally I'll be talking about how could you use this set of skills while working with brands, if you planning to pursue your career as a designer in advertising. When it comes to working with brands out there, how can you use these set of skills, and what kind of designs that others have done, how to basically how to interact with them, how to solve the problem that they're facing. So what is photo manipulation? This is very subjective, so I'll just go with what's most basic answer that y'all can find online. That will be what is being described by adobe.com, and I'll be talking about what is Adobe in like a couple of minutes. So it's basically altering, retouching, and making new art with photos. So basically don't draw, you use existing images, maybe the photographs that you have already taken, maybe like a scene from a movie, you cut them, you retouch them, and you create a piece of art that however you want it to, it was in your head. So you basically create a new, a magical, maybe unrealistic, like surrealism, if you're planning on doing like such like feels like following surrealism kind of art kind of things. Yeah, can use these techniques to tap into Photoshop manipulation. So basically that be it. So using those few like retouching and cutting and adding colors and stuff, how to bring back an idea in your head to reality. So that's from the website called Adobe. I'll mention that I'll be talking about Adobe. So what is Adobe? Adobe is a platform that they have so many tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects. They have most about like 20 programs that you can use. So basically I'll be talking about Photoshop, one of their main softwares that we use for these stuff. Quick preview about what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure you have seen these really cool designs on Instagram or Pinterest, or maybe like while you just Facebook, you're just browsing through things, you probably have seen like very cool stuff, like the whales on sky, maybe stuff like that. So just if you actually run a bit of a background check on photo manipulation, this all comes with this thing called combination printing. So when actual people think about photo manipulation, they think like, oh, it's a new thing that came up with in after finding the Photoshop, right? But it's not. It's been, so initially the photo manipulation has been called photo montage. If you actually dig deep a bit, what is it? We run back to 1857. The first well-known photo montage has done by Oscar Gustav. So it's basically, this is like the first photo manipulation, I would say. I'm not 100% sure what's the technique that he has used, but I'm pretty sure he has combined a bunch of images together, which what's happening in modern days. We get bunch of images and we put them together, we edit the lighting and shadows, and we make them one piece of an art. So types of photo manipulation. So this is a very interesting thing, because once you start to get into this field, once you start to browse through, once you start to get examples, you might meet different types of photo manipulations, right? I can, end of the session, I'll just share some of the artists on internet that's doing this for quite some time, and like the ways to find inspiration kind of things. So it will be like a really good for you, because before getting into this, I just want to say, if you actually planning to do stuff, I'm pretty sure the first few designs won't be like 100% accurate. You might have issues with lighting or the shadows, and you might just, it's just more like you have to, it's trial and error. You have to keep doing at least one design per day, keep doing for some time, and you will see the results. I mean, not just for designing, it's just basically anything that you do, you just need to keep doing it in order to improve. So if you actually take about the types of manipulation we have, first, I mean, just to say, there will be like lots of different types, combining few types to get like another type. So there are like a lot of art styles out there. So I'm just saying most the basic art styles that you can find out there, the best way to get the inspiration. So the first the art style is double exposure. So what double exposure is, this is very famous with a lot of photographers and designers. So you're basically combining 2 or 3 images together, but you won't do like a lot of shadowing or lighting. You just blend. So you basically call just blending 2 images together to get like a very abstract, coolish art. So for an example, this is a set of design by John Bond. I just put the ArtStation link here, so you can just go and check him out. He has like really cool stuff. So this is like the basic idea of how a double exposure will look like. If you actually want to get technical, you just get 2 images, and using these set of blend modes in Photoshop called screen and multiply. Using these 2 blend modes like overlay, there are like few blend modes that you can work with when it comes to doing double exposure. These are the artworks. So you use those two like 3-4 blend modes, and you get something really cool. And the second type of manipulation is where you actually dig deep and you do a bit of lighting, shadows. You trying to achieve what like human eye could see, that they could say, okay, that's real, that's a real thing. Like when you see something, it's real or fake. If someone has put it there, is it really there, or is it done by like a computer? You can just say that. So realism is basically trying to achieve these the perfect view, how a human could see a photo, but it will be more like hyper realistic actually. So those are like few designs that I've done in the past few years. You can check them out on my Instagram as well. So in each of these designs, you can see I put a bit of effort to manage the lighting, the shadows, to make sure it's how it would look like if you actually see the exact scenario in real life, basically that. And we have the third medium is combining few mediums. So what do you mean by combining few mediums? So basically, if you are working with digital art, if you're using photo manipulation, you'll be working on your PC, you'll be working like adding shadows and all that stuff, right? So you just take a couple of steps further, you start to draw. Like, you don't use images, you just draw on it, and you, like, for example, the first picture here is the person, there is an actual person, but the rest of, like, most of the background is actually he drew it. So that's basically like combining like traditional drawing skills on digital pad and combining it with photo manipulation. And if you look at the second image, we have a combination between 3D and bit of photo manipulation, because the background in the second image, like the right image, is completely done by 3D, the sky and everything. I'm not too sure about the sky. I'm pretty sure the sky is also done by Photoshop. And the person that leaning back towards the car is actually added through Photoshop. So when you do that, actually when you combine two mediums, this comes a bit handy, because you have pretty much like total control of your artwork. You know where this could go, you pretty much control where the lighting comes. So basically that's that. And softwares, right? So this is a huge problem when people trying to get into these things. So they don't know like where exactly to start. They think, okay, I need like a very expensive kind of a thing. Hold on. They're probably wondering like where to get the softwares, what do I need, where do I need to start. So if you need to start, I put a couple of softwares here. So in the left hand side you have Adobe Photoshop, which is the recommended software if you can get your hands on it, because that's a really powerful software that has a lot of tools and editing techniques that you could use. Like, it's the power of Photoshop is insane if you use it properly, and that's millions of designers worldwide use it. So that's there. So if it's a bit hard to get your hand on Photoshop, you have a software called Affinity Photo. So basically what Affinity Photo is, it's just like Photoshop, but it's a different like a different company. So Photoshop is done by Adobe, Affinity Photo is done by this company called Affinity, of course. So it's actually okay, I don't actually mind. It's a really great software, probably used like once or twice. It's almost identical to the Photoshop, but there are few tools that's missing, and when it comes to working with it, it's a bit different. I would say you have to, like, what you would do in Photoshop in like 5 minutes, if you're doing it Affinity might take like a couple extra minutes. So that's completely fine, that's completely up to you. That's actually quite cheap, it's like $70, like one-time payment thing if I'm not mistaken. And the third one, you have GIMP. GIMP is free, completely free. You can literally use it anywhere. If it's if it's Windows, Apple, Linux, Ubuntu, it's the same thing, sorry. So you can literally use that on anything. So GIMP, I would recommend, if you like planning to like start very small, you can just hop into GIMP. You can just download from their website, completely free, open source software. The problem is it had a lot of missing features if you compare with Photoshop. Not a lot, and the UI is okay, but I would recommend, if you can get your hands on Photoshop, it's absolutely great. So GIMP is also cool. If you have a hard time getting to hands on these softwares, just start with GIMP. It doesn't matter, because it will always come down to what you think about it and how you do it. Your software will have like a 30% effect on your work. It will be more like what you know, the techniques, and it's basically up to the artist. So those are like a bit of like a preview screenshots from these three softwares that I mentioned earlier. The first one, you have Affinity Photo, and you have the second one, which is Adobe Photoshop. The third one, which is in the bottom, which is the GIMP. So you might find actually the Affinity Photo and Photoshop bit look same, because Affinity Photo came out a couple of years back, I think. So it's actually cool. I mean, it's really I mean, it looks pretty complex, because when you actually first you look at it, I'm like, oh my god, I have no idea what is going on, because it looks very hard. There's a lot of buttons here and there, there's a lot of colors and blah blah, there's a lot of shit. But you probably might get used to it when you start working with these tools. So yeah. And yeah, the GIMP is also okay. As I mentioned, that is there. You can just try it out and see how it's going to work out, but I would recommend get your hands on Photoshop. But yeah, the most important part is how. Now, since I spoke about you have to do this, that, and all that stuff about the tools and the history, the most important couple of minutes is how. See, it's can be very tricky when it comes to this stage about how, because a lot of people struggle with where to start. Where should I learn Photoshop? Where should I learn how to edit cool pictures? Where should I learn Photoshop manipulation? The struggle, sometimes they even get their hands on like those big softwares like Photoshop, but they're like completely lost. They don't like how to start. So there are a few key points that you need to keep in your head. Those are not rules, because designing is a field that there are no rules, but there are guidelines that you need to keep your head straight on. Those guidelines, like if I follow those, this is going to be good. That's why it's there, right? So so those key points are like using the correct images, lighting and shadows, balancing the colors and textures. I'm telling you, you have to keep these 4 points in your mind. So I'll explain each of them, and I'll go to detail when I'm doing the tutorial about how exactly you can do it while showing this, and this is this and this is that. But just to have an overview of those 4 points, I'll just go top. So using the correct images is, imagine if you're putting two images together, the number one mistake in that category, what the people mistake is, they just get a random image from internet and they just put themselves in that image. The first thing, it won't work because it won't be the correct image. Now, how to find the correct image? You have to be careful about where is the light source of this image. So that is very important, that if you actually using the correct images, and also the perspective of the image. If you have a top shot of someone and you're going to, the background image is going to be like a bottom shot, it's going to be like very weird, I guess. When you actually put it won't make sense. I mean, it won't make sense if you actually look at it as a like a very surrealism point of view, because the both images that we put together doesn't make any sense. It doesn't give out a message. It doesn't look nice. The lighting doesn't match when the perspective is different. Lighting and shadows, one of the most important things, because you have to make sure you know where's the light source of the image that you're editing. Imagine you putting you cut one person from an image and you're putting it on another image. You have to make sure you know in the second image where's the light source. Is it top? Is it the bottom? Is it the left or the right? Top left? You need to have an understanding where's the light source. If you don't know where the light source is, you might have a hard time matching the lighting. Imagine if lighting comes from the left, in that background, and your subject, which is like the second image that you just cut, and it has a shadow in this side, that literally won't make sense, because when lighting comes, there will be no shadows in that side. It will be on the other side. That's pretty much common sense. So you need to figure out where's the lighting coming, and if you're using a subject image, it somewhat needs to match. I mean, you can artificially change the shadows, and where's the light source coming, you can create like an artificial light source, and that you can figure it out. It's very much possible, but I would recommend, if you use images that has a very similar point of perspectives and lighting and shadows. And balancing colors. So balancing colors, it comes handy when you're actually doing a colored picture. But if you're planning to do like a black and white manipulation, that's something that you can completely forget about. Then you have to focus more on how the lighting and shadows works in that image. But generally, balancing color is very important. It doesn't matter you put the correct image and you put the proper lighting, you draw the shadows, but if the colors are wrong, if the background color image has a very bluish tone and the subject image has like a very red tone, that probably wouldn't match, right? Because it has the both images needs to have like the same color pattern, sorry, the same color tone. And the fourth one is textures. So when I say textures, people who are like doing 3D and stuff might get confused. I don't know, textures in the 2D and the designs. I mean, technically not that textures I'm talking about. I'm talking about basically the clarity of your picture, the noise, the smoothness. So imagine you have like a really high quality subject image and your background is like really low quality, it's halfway through blurred. The texture doesn't fit and it obviously looks fake. So that's something you should definitely avoid. I don't think you should use like, I mean, sometimes it's a bit hard to find the correct image, so you end up having like a very low quality image. I know how it feels. That happens to me a lot. So when something like that happens, make sure you blur out your background image to give like a very depth of field view. Just don't keep it how you download it, maybe change the color, just try to fix it just without leaving it, because texture is important. Because like another example, you cut an image, you put it in this like a second, like put your subject in the second image, and the second image more sharpened, it has bright colors. Once you even though fix the color, you feel like something is wrong. But like you actually start look at it, the behind image either sharp or it's too smooth, or your image is sharp, either too smooth. So you have to make sure both has the same set of texturing, like both has the same set of sharpen or smooth or clarity or de-enhance. So you have to be really careful when choosing the background. Both needs to be matched. So if you get these 4 points, those are like the basics. I mean, when you actually start to work with, there are like a lot of rules that you need to focus on. One of the other things that I haven't put it there, no, sorry, not rules, my bad, guidelines, is rule of third. So basically rule of third is just draw, like get like whatever the design that you have done, and you draw like 6 boxes in it, like a grid. And if the subject of that image fits to the 3 boxes, like if it's like the middle, it actually looks good geometrically, it looks very pleasing. So in order to avoid not placing your design on like some wrong place, I mean, if you're only doing the like if your only subject is in the middle, if it's in the corner, like left, right, top, that doesn't matter. Then you can completely just forget about the whole rule of the thing and just get back to just doing the design. It's better before you start the design, before you hop into the software, before you gather around the images, you just draw like a rough sketch on like a paper or like in a software that you use. What do you want to do? Where do I place the figure? Where do I place the trees? Where is the sun? Where's the light coming from? If you have them planned already, while you're working, it helps you a lot, because you know where to put what, because you have already planned it, you have just through it already. So you just basically have to look at your paper and just design it right away. So that's pretty easy. So always make sure you have a plan what you want to do. Also another thing, either you can start with a plan. Okay, this is something I do personally, so that depends on the person. Again, I said depends on the artist. Sometimes I actually draw a plan and I hop into the software and just start designing. Sometimes I just gather around a bunch of random images on the internet, I just download them, just put in software, and I see what can I make with this. When I see the images that fits with this, okay, can I match this image with that? I can just decide right away what I want to do looking at the picture. So again, I didn't have a plan, I just have the images, I'm just looking at it and I'm creating the image in my head. Then I could just draw down the plan and just start getting to the design. So that's completely up to you. Do you need to have a plan when you're starting or not? Because you really shouldn't limit yourself to just like a one idea that you do. You can just combine a few ideas off your head and create like a complete different image. So make sure you let your creativity runs wild. So don't limit yourself, please. So this is a design that I did like a year back. I forgot to mention the model's name. This is called Hassan Nasser, one of my friend. You can just follow him on Instagram as well. So what I've done is this shot, he's looking down in like a very construction site. I took it and I placed in a way that he looks down a hill. So in the right side, I've mentioned where I balance the colors, lighting, and shadows and textures. I'm just put it like very roughly, so but you can actually see from the right hand side. You can see from his neck, I made sure that lighting comes through that area in your head, and his other side is very dark because lighting comes from the right top, and the left side has to be dark because it doesn't it only gets like the reflected lights from outside areas. So something very important in lighting and shadows, basically I've just darkened down that part. So that's a very important thing, because if you look at the actual image, his arm is like very bright in that area, but because I wanted to more focus on the lighting, I made sure he gets like a heavy lighting from the right and the dark shadows from the left. And I made sure both has the same colors. Like if you look at the left image, it's look very bit dull, it doesn't have a lot of colors. And I took, so what I did there was I did not match entirely the subject image with background image. Basically I changed the colors of both. So I put the images together, I did the lighting and all, I made sure both has the same colors. So when I'm editing the colors, what I did was I dumbed down the colors to like, I low down the colors to like a same level, not the very beautiful level that you will be see in this thing, like a very pale, very darkish, like a low saturated color. I took it that, and I just made sure I increased the colors of both, and I changed the colors of both at once, so both will have the same set of colors. And as you can see it in the texture, I added background and made it with blur and his side dots, because for an example, if you actually take a camera like this, what some people does is they just catch subject on the camera and we focus on the subject, so the background will pretty much blur. So I did that to make it look more real, that it looks like it has been taken by camera, and just put some lights and edited it. So something that you need to be actually keep it in your mind, because how you see images on real life, when you take a picture of something using a camera, how it looks, that has to be very similar with when you make the design. So that's pretty much it. Sorry. Now I'll just get to the tutorial and explain you guys how you guys can work sorry my bad, how you guys can do this like practical. I'll show you tutorial, so we'll get back to that. So I have 4 different images open here. So all these 4 different images, first 2 I got it from the website called pixels.com. They have a really good pictures that you can use for your design purposes, or if you're in literally anything. It's all free pictures, no copyright issues, so pretty much you guys can use it for designing, I guess. So I'm pretty sure y'all can see like a very similar tone going in all these 4 images. Okay, not the last 2, like the first 2 images, like a similar tone going. So I have 2 images right here. So okay, so my idea is, so create this as a main image, have this guy in this image, and cut out the background of this and add one of either this or this as the sky. So I quite haven't thought about which sky gonna use. I'll probably have to see while doing it, so good luck for me with that. Okay, I'll open up my Photoshop. So this is how it will look like when you open your Photoshop, and I'll just drag and drop all 4 images to this. Alright, so this is how it looks when you launch the software. So if you are a newbie that planning to get into the designing, as I mentioned, so this is how the software interface might look like. But then again, your interface might be a little bit different from what I have right now, because I kind of customized like the toolbars and all, where I can set those up. So but then again, that doesn't have a big effect on how you work. It depends on how you want to have your workflow ready, what's easy for you. So just play around with the software a bit and see which works for you. So I'll start with this image. First you need to do is you need to cut off the background. So there are a few ways that you can use to cut images, like cut piece of images using, we have like different tools. So first we have pen tool. So pen tool is basically, okay, I'll start from the easiest to, it's hard, I would say. Okay, let's start. So when you press W, you have here called magic wand tool. So this is the shortcut key is W. So just click somewhere, it automatically just select that area. So using AI in Photoshop, like basically like this. Oh, after that you have the selection tools, as you have the lasso tool. It's pretty much like a freehand cutting tool. You can just draw like this and just cut. Oh, then you have pretty much a freehand tool, but you can't draw curves. You can only draw like this. So not recommended if you cutting like something like this, which has like a lot of curves. And then you have the pen tool. It's quite powerful, this tool. If you can actually get used to this tool, it's absolutely brilliant, because this tool can literally cut anything. So imagine if you using the freehand this tool, you pretty much can't cut corners. And if you using the freehand tool, it's hard to get like the proper curves. You always look like a, I don't know, like a potato face when you cut it. So best way to do is use the pen tool. So you put an anchor point here, you put the second anchor point somewhere that ends the curve, and you hold it and just drag and see how to control the curve. So it's easy as that, but this might take a little bit of practice using the pen tool. It personally took me some time to actually get used to this tool, but it's very powerful. So you get the curve like this. You can break the point by holding Alt, and you select this key anchor point. You can just do like this. So I'll not do like so in this case you don't need like quite that accurate kind of a cut, because anyways we will be blending this area. So I'm just gonna do like a very quick cut using the pen tool. Always make sure just cut a bit further away from the edge, because when you're editing it, it's gonna affect like those the small, you can see there's a light leak going on from the background, so that might affect. Make sure you cut that part as well. Alright, okay, you can use, okay, I forgot, in order to zoom in the software, you can use Alt and your mouse button, mouse wheel. It's easy and smooth. Right, how long we have to go? Oh, we have half already. Okay, that's fine. Make sure you don't get that light leak into the whole thing. once you select this area, I'll just connect the last anchor point with the first one, and in the top left corner you see there's 3 buttons called selection, mask, shape. You click selection and it will ask for a feather radius. In this case I would give about like 2 should be all right, but then again it depends on the design, so you have to make sure what kind of feather, like how soft the edges you want it to be, and you just simply hit delete. You have a smoothish cut here, and what we're gonna do is go to the image that has the man. And this case I won't be using the pen tool, because here's a trick. So how Photoshop figure out the auto selection is, so if you look at this, in this case is the entire background. So if you look at this as a frame, the entire background is pure white and the man is just wearing black, right? So in that case, for Photoshop it's very easy to figure out this man doesn't belong here, kind of a thing. So this is like an inverted color, so when this color contrast, Photoshop easily figures out what is dark, what is light. So hit W, get the quick selection tool, just select on the man, and simple as that, you can just select him. But this won't work all the time in a situation like this, like a very complicated background with small elements. This won't do a great job, this quick selection tool or the magic selection tool. So try to stick, most of the time try to stick to the pen tool, as it's good for practice in the long run, even like later on, even like after learning manipulation, if you plan to get like vector designing and all, the learning of the pen tool is really important. Okay, now what you need to do is you hit J, you have basically successfully cut it. Okay, and now what you need to do, you have to go back to the ground layer, you have to right click it and you have to select convert to smart object. So what smart object does is, so Photoshop has this thing, when you scale down an image to like a very smaller size in the same canvas, what it does is it deletes the pixels that it doesn't want. Like when you look at it, do you need that amount of details when it's small? So Photoshop decides and it deletes unnecessary images. So for an example, I'll just go back. You have this plate, I'll make this very small like this. So when you look at it, you can't really see it, right? Because when you zoom in, you don't have like a lot of details. Now what you think most of people might think is, when you scale it back, it will have the exact same size, except for it looks downscale. They deletes a lot of details from this thing and try to make this small, like less details as possible. So always, every time you cut an image, if it's every time when it's possible, just try to stick to making it smart object. And other thing is, you can do it with like double click it and it will open like a whole another layer you can just work on and save. You will have this layer ready to go. So now what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna change the canvas size. So right now the canvas size is 5236 by 3491, which is quite big, the artwork that I'm going for, because I usually like to have like work with a portrait size. So it depends what kind of a size you want to work with. So I'm just gonna go with this size. You all can use the same size, so just use whatever that you feels good for work. That's so it's very small, right? And what we do is, we take the man, we turn him into a smart object as well, take him in, put him in here, and we make him small in order to match to our background. We place it somewhere around here. You should be all right. Okay, then what we're going to do is, we're going to hit Control P this layer balance the colors, like the shadows and highlights and midtones of the your image. It will control each color channel of the image. So once you get this panel, just try to make sure this and the background has the same color. You can just mess around with the colors, just change the highlights a bit, just change the shadows. It's just totally up to you. Just tweak it a bit and see which edit works. So make sure just play with all the settings here. I think this is somewhat that what I need, I guess. Yeah, okay, this is good. Okay, now which image we're gonna use? I think I'm gonna use with this because this area is a bit light and we can have a light source here, and the man might having a shadow from here, and yeah, I think this might work. Just turn this into a smart object as well. Take this. Now what we need to do is we need to take this layer to the below. We have very nice, we probably might need to just flip it a bit. Do we need to flip like this? This is actually getting somewhere, and what we need to do is we need to open the color balance of that image as well. The shortcut is Ctrl D, and you need to make sure you kind of balance with the ground plane as well. That's you gotta be just keep playing with the settings and see actually which one works for you. Because sometimes it looks like it works, after like few minutes you look at it, it doesn't quite look same. So this part can be very tricky. You have to make sure like get the colors right. I think we don't need to play with highlights a lot. We probably getting somewhere here. Okay, we're pretty much done. So as I mentioned, this is like a really quick tutorial to explain you guys how the Photoshop works and the small techniques. So while this is going, I just need to talk something that all 4 images had few things in common. Like the lighting was kind of similar in all pictures, and if you look at this, the background plate lightning kind of matches with the sky plate, kind of matches with the ground plate as well, and the man as well, and also the colors are a bit similar. So that was just an advantage. So the colors doesn't always has to be similar. The colors can be anything. Colors can be black and white also. You can just paint it over to like a very like a normal color. So that's the color is not the problem. I think that's like a plus that we had that advantage. So what we need to do is this man, we need to draw him a shadow. So you see, how do you select the object? You have the layer panel on your right. Once you have the layer panel, holding the control key, select the layer thumbnail, and you have like copy of the selection, and then hit Alt backspace. It will fill the layer with black. Take it down and this. Sorry, I forgot to mention the shortcut to the transform mode is Control T. You can hit Control T and enter the transform mode. This is what we're getting somewhere. do is this: you hit E and get the eraser tool. Erase out the just part, like tiny parts that pops out. Okay. Now what we need to do is you need to click here, the bottom right corner. You have this small icon. You click here and you get like bunch of options. It looks pretty scary when it's actually a bunch of options, but trust me, those are like easiest ever. So you have, those are all adjustment layers, like different effects that you could use on the whatever object that you have in the layer panel. So I'm gonna go with brightness. You can click the adjustment layer, hold pressing Ctrl Alt G. It will click to the layer bottom of it. Click that, darker. So this small box right here, it's called a mask. So what is a mask exactly? So right now, just give you an idea of what mask is. Okay, I'm just gonna create like a normal circle here just to showcase your okay, right now if I get my eraser tool and erase it like this, I can't draw it back. It's permanently gone, right? Imagine after some time, if I need that erased part, I really won't have it. So that's a bit of a problem, right? So instead of doing that, in the bottom right corner you have this small icon. So third from the left, and you click it, you get a mask. So what mask is, you can get the brush tool. You can get a brush. So once you select the mask, here in your colors it changes to black and white. So white means it draws, black means it erases. So you get this select this to black and you go and erase, it erases, right? But imagine now if you want to draw it back, what you need to do is change the color to white, select the mask and just draw it back. So this is very handy when it comes to doing adjustment layers and like drawing stuff. So keep that in mind, how the layer mask works. So we put a brightness layer. So there's always an automatic mask that comes with an adjustment layer. What you do is you can hit Ctrl I and invert the mask. So what I need to do is just gonna drag a little shadow here just to show that part is a bit dark. Okay. And we get another brightness mask, adjustment layer. I'm very sorry. And increase the light of this a bit. Again, you invert the mask. And you draw it a bit from this side. Now it looks like the light comes from the left. Alright, now we select the shadow, get another mask, hit B, get the brush tool, increase the brush size. Here right click and open the brush panel and load down the opacity a bit. Get it to black and just, because in general when the further the shadow away from the light, it kind of fades away. So we need to give that impression on this shadow. Then after you're doing that, you have to go to filter, blur. You have like just if you actually get the software, just go through all these effects and see how those works. It's really important when you do experiments with different stuff. You go to blur, Gaussian blur, blur down this a little bit, only like 2 should be enough. Okay, now what we need to do is open another layer, select like a slight creamy orange. You can while in the brush tool you can hit the alt key, just pick like a color and just opacity, of course, just touch it a few times on top of this light source, hit the color a little bit. Okay, you need to do is, because when there's a more light coming, it makes sense, because harsh the light is, why that would make sense why the shadow is like too dark and very contrasty. Sorry. So once you have this one, you have to select this small planet thingy, just cut it from there, and just get another layer and just try to just shape it this side so it looks like. Just select this one and hit Ctrl Shift I, and it will invert the selection. Then it will only affect this part. Okay. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. As well. Now you put down this part there and open a new layer and hit Ctrl Alt Shift E. Now this will give you like a flattened image, like a combination of all the layers to a one layer, and make that a smart object. Sorry. And you need to press Ctrl Shift A in order to get the camera raw filter. Again, this also, when you get time, just go through it. There's lots of different tools, lots of different settings, so I'll tell you how to access without the shortcut. Just go to filter, camera raw filter. So I'll just gonna use these only few design settings called this clarity, dehaze, and just play with all the settings and see which one works for your this thing. You can just different settings, just play around much as you can, just get an idea. Okay, a little bit, and I'll add a bit of a noise to this thing. So yeah, this is a very simple manipulation that you could do. This is pretty much it, but there are a lot of ways that you can, if you're doing the same thing, that you can improve. Maybe the sky, you have different people, maybe you have like signs and stuff. So it's all up to you how you're going to use your creativity. As I say, don't get framed into a box. Even though if you just have a sketch that I want to draw this, even like after you doing that exact thing, just forget about the sketch and try to be a little bit more what you can add. Just think a little bit more what I can add more, oh, how can I improve it, do I need to be there or here. So always make sure you put your effort and do your studies. So just so it's one small thing, just keep doing this. I'm pretty sure the first time you won't get it right. I mean, if you get it first time, I mean that's amazing, because I know that this actually helped you. So if you don't get it right the first time or for the second time, just keep doing, keep going, keep doing it for like a week or month. Keep making manipulation one per day till you are being good at this. So yeah, all right, I think we can hop back to the presentation now. Let me open it up. All right, final and the last point in the presentation. I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial as well. So working with brands. So as the last point, I won't be talking a lot about this. Unfortunately, I'm running out of time, I guess. So working with brands. So if you are a person who's planning to pursue a career in designing, like maybe after some time, or maybe like thinking of doing that, this might be a good point to keep it in your head. Because if you acquire these set of skills like photo manipulation, being able to create a double exposure poster, all that good stuff, once you go into working with brands, that's going to be a whole different scenario. If I explain why, because all this time you've been teaching, like you are used to creating photo manipulation or other designing work as for your own, maybe for social media, maybe for your portfolio. That's actually good, that's a really good practice. But when it comes to working with a brand, the problem a lot of people is, it's a really nice manipulation with lots of effects and lighting, shadows, and everything is like perfectly balanced. But unfortunately, if you haven't done what needs to be done, if you haven't given out the message properly, or you miss something that needs to be mentioned, I mean something that you need to give through the design to solving this problem, maybe getting more customers, getting like reaching a bigger audience, that will up to you to make sure the design you're making won't be heavy into art but into the message of that brand as well. So that is a major point that you need to keep it in your mind, because you can't 100% you can't treat your design when you're working with a client as an art aspect needs to be there. I'm not saying no, it's a must, but always tries to make sure when you're working with a brand, these set of designs that you will be working on, and when you're designing for yourself or your portfolio, your social media, other stuff, you'll be creating a set of arts, keep it separately. Don't ever mix those two different design skills, because if you get mixed, you might be a little lost throughout the long run. So that's pretty much. I'll show you like so there's like a couple of designs that I did for a couple of brands. So basically I want to give an idea. So if you look at the first two posts, I've made two posts for products that they already have. So they have really cool names, by the way. So I want to make sure that the design actually does a justice for the name as well. So the whole design is made around the name. So things like that, you have to be think a bit and come up with something that relates to the brand, right? So I think that's pretty much it about working with brands. And thank you for joining this session. I think I enjoyed a lot while doing this, and I hope you liked it too. If you have any questions or comments, or if you need any help with designing while on the long run, while if you're doing the process, just DM me on Instagram, just drop me a direct message on Instagram, or just drop me a mail, because this is not a live session. I'm really sorry, I was having a couple of technical difficulties to make it to do it live. So this is a pre-recorded video. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video, and thank you for having me. Thank you, RCSS. Have a great week.